What's up, graphic designers? Today we're going to be creating a poster that looks a little something like this. You'll notice there's an inspiring quote in the bottom, but critically there's lots of cool brush strokes. Today we're going to be going to Brush Easy. We're going to be downloading fun brushes, and we're going to be using this template. So this is where we're starting. And before we do anything else, let's take a look at the layers palette. And what I can see is that at the bottom we've got that bubble sheet skewed, and you'll notice that I dropped the opacity to 30%. Above that, we've got that white gradient. Without it, it makes it a little bit challenging to see the quote. So I added a white to transparent gradient going up. We've got this layer right here. You'll notice it's labeled brushes below. So that's going to be below the text. We've got the lab logo, of course. We've got our the psat letters, each on their own layer. And if you want to create a little bit of marketing for the SATs, simply hide that P and you're good money. We can simply shift them over together. And actually, if you wanted to do that, you're going to click S, you're going to hold Shift, and then you're going to press V for the move tool, and then we can shift these over like so. And then while we're talking about this, this text right here, if you wanted to change the font, if you didn't love the font, simply highlight them all. Again, you're going to click on the P layer, hold Shift, I'm going to click T at the top. They're all selected. I'm going to press T for type, and then I'm going to click at the very top Arial Black, and I'm just going to press down. And what you can do is you can cycle through to check out some of the fonts that you already have loaded on your computer, or you're going to go to defont.com. You're going to find some fun fonts that you like. Ideally, I think for this project, you don't want a scripty font. You don't want a relatively thin font. I think it's going to look best if you got a heavier font. As we have here, Arial Black works well, Mont works well, but I'll leave that up to you. Alternatively, if you wanted to change the colors, what we can do is I'm going to press T for type, once more, and when they are all selected, at the very top you'll notice that there's that the white box with the question mark. That's how we're going to change the color. We can make them all green, we can make them all black, we can make them all whatever color. If you wanted the text color to be uniform, you can do some cool stuff like that. Alright, but I'm going to return to where we were earlier. I'm going to keep it moving, and I remember that today we're going to be adding brushes. So this is brusheasy.com. It's an amazing resource where you can find lots of cool things, and if you click on browse by category, you'll notice that there's backgrounds, there is patterns, textures, shapes, all sorts of hearts. That's cool. What we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time on paint, the paint section. But I would urge you to explore this at your leisure. And when we click paint, we notice that we got brushes. We're going to click top brushes. There's lots of cool things for us to choose from. Explosion brushes, that looks awesome. What doesn't look awesome is snowflake brushes. We don't want that today, considering it's March, it's the spring, April's right around the corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to find one that would work well for this particular project. And I'm looking around. Let's try high-res splatter brushes or free high-res watercolor Photoshop brushes. I haven't tried this out. You're going to be experimenting. You're going to download 3 or 7 brushes today. I'm going to left-click free download. It asks you if you want faster downloads. You're going to close this out. We're going to settle for the download speeds that we get, and we're going to be exercising a little bit of rule number 1 as we're being patient. And this downloaded in under 5 seconds. That seems pretty reasonable to me. They're always trying to upsell us to the premium edition. We're going to close this out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this zipped file, this watercolor Photoshop brushes, and you'll notice it says unable to expand. There's something going on, but it looks like it did. Some of these brushes you're going to see are problematic, and this brush is labeled McBad watercolor. It's a .abr file. That's great. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag it out of this folder. I'm going to drag it just to my desktop, and you'll see that sometimes you need to do that. I'm going to return to Photoshop. All right, and this is the brushes window. And again, what you can do is you can click Window, and you can click Brushes, and it pops it up right there. We're going to click the 3 horizontal lines to open up the menu. We're going to import brushes. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. I'm at the desktop right now, and let's go to Date Modified. Okay, And there it is at the top, McBad, watercolor, ABR. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to press open. And now when I scroll down to tad and I close splash brushes, I notice at the bottom, McBad watercolor. And it looks like we've got 36 brushes at our disposal. We're going to start with number 1. Why not? I'm going to shift this over. And here's what you're going to do. I've labeled 2 layers, brushes above and brushes below the text that you can sort of experiment with. And so right now I'm on brush number 1. We're going to want to make sure that we are on the brushes like layer, that way we're not on other stuff. And at first glance this looks kind of cool, and that's super huge. We do not want something that size, so I'm going to drop it down just a little bit. 500 is too small, maybe right there. Okay, that looks kind of cool right there. And I'm going to now go to brush 2, and we're going to see what that looks like. And so that's at 400, 480. I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to press 999. I'm going to press Command C and then Enter. And I'm going to be, I think, setting all my brush sizes at that size, at that particular size. All right, maybe that looks, you know, guys, this looks a little bright. I'm sorry, a little light to me. I'm not loving this particular brush. And so this is a wonderful illustration of like the experimentation process that's totally critical as you're operating with brushes. So let's take a look at this one. Nah, you know what, guys? I'm not loving these brushes for this project, and that's okay. That's totally fine. So I'm going to press Command A, I'm going to press Delete, Command D, and I'm going to go, I'm going to close out McBad watercolors. These are McBad. And I'm going to jump up to some of the other brushes that I've previously used. And in fact, one is called Addy Splat that I really like. I'm going to press the I for eyedropper tool. I'm going to press B for brush. I'm going to right click. I'm going to increase the size. And I'm going to press Command V to set it to 999, which is where we had it before. Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, I love that. So the default is 250. I'm going to press Command V. It's at 999, enter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it once more. And you'll notice that it's overlapping on the blue, which I like. Although I'm not loving this location because this P all of a sudden looks a little bit like an R. So we're going to think critically about where we're planting these sort of brushes. That looks awesome. That looks so cool. I'm going to press I for eyedropper. And we want to be subtle. So we don't want to go buck wild with it. It's just a little bit here and there to add some dimension, to add some flavor, to like spice up this visual. All right, so that is how we download and add brushes. You're going to experiment with different fonts, colors. You're going to have various quotes. You're going to save it as a PSD and submit the JPEGs. Each one is going to be a different layer, so it's or a different name. So it's going to be first name, last name, PSAT, V1, V2, V3, V4. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.